Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube?
What's up out there, YouTube?
This is SCL0320. This is Ray.
Hi.
Totally like Barton or anyway. This is
Joe Johnson 030
representing JVS. We just got back for an advanced screening for, as you can see, Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice. But this, unlike the other experiences we had before back in March, I think, this was the definitive version for me, the Ultimate Edition. We're gonna be talking a lot of spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, definitely midnight tonight, I think, is when they're actually releasing out the digital copy. And in July the 19th, I think, is when the actual Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K version are coming out. And to be quite honest, I think you really need to go and get it. It was a totally different experience for me. I gave the movie initially like an 8.5. I think, Ray, you gave it like a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10. You gave it like a 9 or 8.5.
I think I did.
And all around, everybody that we've kind of talked to really enjoyed the film. It actually got a standing ovation with the clap, which is surprising. But we're going to be breaking down a lot of things. So if you haven't seen the movie, go and try to get the digital copy if you can. This is worth getting. We've been warned. Alright, so let's go ahead and get down to the nitty gritty. Why was this a better film for y'all? In general, like what made or break? Because I mean, most of us actually enjoyed, Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice, the theatrical version, and we understood what the director was going for. We saw more in it than I guess other people dared to. But what about this one make or break it for y'all?
I think my biggest two complaints about the movie, the theatrical version, were Superman, not getting enough FaceTime, and also the editing just being really, really sloppy.
Yeah.
And those two issues are completely fixed.
Yeah.
With this version, like everything flows really well.
Yes.
There's nothing like in the original. There's a couple of scenes that are just in there, and they make no sense at all. But in this, like it's all just it's like one piece. It's not sloppy. It's smooth, and then those little Superman scenes that they threw in made the Superman scenes that they kept in the theatrical version make sense and feel whole.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we said in the car. We were talking about, like, this is Superman. It's not just Henry Cavill trying to play or recapture the essence of what we saw in Man of Steel. This is him being the definitive Superman. Like, you get to see him in these most dire moments. Like, when you actually saw the explosion sequence, right? Like, most of us know, the Granny's peach tea, which is Lex devising this plan and exploding everything. What we don't know is so much that he has set up. And the thing about it is, when the explosion happened, the aftermath, Superman stayed and trying to help people, getting people out, and like he was left there helpless. The paramedic was like, "You need to go. Like, I can do this," And it's like he's sitting there watching all these bodies lined up. This is a rated R film, but it barely borders that line. And I was sitting there watching him do that, and I was like, the expression on his face meant everything to me. Like, versus like we just cut and seeing him randomly in the snow somewhere. Like, he's actually dealing, and he's in pain, and he's hurting. And then even that snow sequence, it had relevance. It was like it led up to somewhere. Like, I think one of the guys that was like a mountain person there, he's like, why is he going that way? Because there's no clear path. He's going up there to die. And I was like, that's the expression of Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, why was this not kept in there? Anyway, sorry, Joe. I'm running in on your time. But I don't know. What do you think as far as for you?
Well, I definitely agree with you guys. Definitely on Superman's character. Also, I want to give, the director's cut version does a better job depicting Lois Lane.
Yeah.
I feel like her character was a huge upgrade from the theatrical version.
Yeah.
Just because she actually figures out, what Lex is up to.
Yeah.
And you get to see exactly like the clue that she finds in the desert, the silver bullet.
Yeah.
If you will, it's like, and how important of a piece within that puzzle it is. There's more emphasis placed on that, so they do a very good job of like basically her character.
Yeah. Like, she had meaning and substance. Like, before it was like everybody was like debatable. Like, and I kind of was like, you might be right. Like, they just added Lois in there to have relevance for Superman, to have something to connect to. But that's not the case in this. Like, she legitimately was put as a tool that Lex devised against him. And she just, every single sequence, she's looking at Clark, she's trying to help him, she's trying to understand what happened. She uncovers what happened with Scott McNairy's character. And like you kind of find out that Lex is so evil and so divisive in the way that he platforms everybody. The desert sequence. That was one of the biggest things that everybody was like, what is this? Why did they just have Jimmy Olsen and just kill Jimmy Olsen? Jimmy Olsen actually has sequences and understanding of why he was even there. And not just that, it wasn't just he was there and CIA was like, yeah, I'm putting somebody there and killing them. No, they actually were watching the whole entire time. And they had like somebody with a, what was it? A drone. And the drone was being platformed and pushed out by somebody that I think the pilot was actually, I don't know, Hal Jordan maybe. Anyway, but I think that when that was happening, like they were just gonna like lay to waste the area, and they had Superman come there, and Superman blew up the drone, and he blew up the missile. All the while, all the people in the village were getting killed, and it was like, this makes me understand how and why Superman didn't just stop them and see what happened to begin with. And it's like, from an editing standpoint, how could they do that?
Exactly.
Like, why would they clearly sit there and look at that and like, okay, yeah, this is fine. No, that even that scene, and then the sequence that we talked about, the explosion, one of the biggest things you were talking about is like, okay, like Scott
Can I say it? Can I say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
The wheelchair was lined with lead. For all of you complaining why Superman couldn't see the bomb, the wheelchair was lined with lead.
Yeah.
I was fuming.
Yes.
For like 10 minutes. Like, why?
And Lois was the one that found it out.
Yeah.
It wasn't even so much
Yeah.
that Superman or Batman or Alfred. Lois went to his house, found all this different kind of stuff, and then found out, wait, no. And it was like, that adds so much more gravity to it. Because no matter what, he thought that he could stop it. He would have never been able to see it.
Right.
Like, and Lex knew that he couldn't. He played to those weaknesses. And like for me personally, like all these different things that we're kind of describing, this was what makes this movie a definitive version for me. It makes substance from Lois's character. It adds volumes to Superman, and even Lex. Like, I mean, we already knew Batman was good.
Yeah.
Batman, like nobody could say anything negative about Batman, but taking Lex and adding not just him just being, a sick kind of individual is crazy. Like, he's legitimately sick in a strategic way. Everything he did was intentional. Everything he did was platformed and dissected, and it adds more weight to his character. Like, I feel like if Jesse Eisenberg, if it was me, I would have been like, yo, Zach, or WB, I will not do Justice League until y'all release this out, at least so people can understand where my character is going. Because there's a sequence that Batman and Lex have, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but he talks to Lex in this way, and everybody knew that Lex was alluding to the dark side thing, but what y'all didn't see was that sequence where Lex was underneath, after Superman had gotten killed, getting information from Steppenwolf, getting information about all the different universes and the actual mother boxes, and after that point, Bruce was like, you know what, you gotta go somewhere else. Like, you're this sick. And I love that. That was so meaty for me. But all in all, like, man, I really enjoyed it. I don't really have any negatives. That's the thing. Like, I feel like I was cheated. I feel personally like I was cheated, that the theatrical version now is lesser for me, and this was the version I should have gotten. I felt the same way about I Am Legend. When I Am Legend, the alternate version came out, and I looked at the ending for that versus the ending of the theatrical version, it was totally different immersion. But I don't know, what do y'all have to add as far as like your experience is concerned?
I feel like Zack Snyder was cheated.
Yeah.
More than any of us, I just feel like apologizing to him.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing wrong with this movie, really. Like, maybe, like, you can maybe argue that a superhero movie doesn't need to be 3 hours long, but this movie, the Ultimate Edition just makes so much sense. And he made a movie that makes sense, and then it just got screwed over.
It got screwed over, like for time and supposedly quote unquote too much violence, but dude, like I think we were talking about it in the car, like the executives watched this version that we saw gave it a standing ovation, praise, said it was amazing, and then the same as executives that are part of the board of WB, they were like, no, it's got to be shorter. And to make it shorter, you had to cut out some of the most amazing parts.
You had to cut out Superman.
Yes.
You have to make him like the villain who just kind of pops in and out, and it was essentially Batman's movie.
Yeah.
But this was Superman and Batman's movie.
Because I think initially, when they did the first premiere and they had, what's his name, actually reading off that quote from The Dark Knight Returns, they hadn't given it Batman versus Superman. I think that they did that later as an extension because they were like, okay, Batman makes more money, so let's go ahead and do this like that. I think that was all a calculatively, political move, but it wasn't the best interest of the film, and this is just a better film in general. Like the sequence with Superman's death, if you don't know, it has so much more weight to me because I sympathize with him. Like, I had my girlfriend right next to me, and she was like, I feel bad, Superman can't die. Like, I feel bad, and when he died, it was like she felt something. And the sequence, like, of his funeral, that was even done better. Because there was a moments where they had, like, nobody in town. Like, they went through chairs. It was just, everybody was at the funeral. And even the funeral that was going on at the Kent house, they actually had, like, Pete there. They actually had the priest there. They had people that you knew from Man of Steel. And it's like, this caters to Man of Steel, the movie, and what they're trying to move forward with. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. What's your final thoughts, though, Joe?
It's definitely more, like, complete. Like, I definitely, feel like I was watching it and I was just like, yo, how did you leave this out? Like, this is huge. I mean, there's huge details throughout the Director's Cut version, and it's just like, this is awesome. Like, if you don't like the Director's Cut version, I'm sorry. I don't think me and you could be friends. just to put it out.
I mean, as a movie, we're not saying,
I'm
saying?
not saying we can't be friends.
Well, it's like not even that. Like, I mean, I love Marvel. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love, like, what they did with Civil War, regardless of anything. But it's like when I look at this movie and I look at that movie, they're totally different genres. Like, in their own right, as far as extensions of what superhero films can be. It's like, you can have the action-oriented thing, and then you can have the thing that's got depth and tonally different moments, And it's like, I don't know, like, these things can coexist, you know what I'm saying? And I think that this is a better, well-rounded film.
It is.
And for me, it's just the definitive version. And I think that this is the thing that everybody should have seen. And you should. You should go and check this out.
Yeah.
Rent it if you need to, but you might end up going and buying it like you did Man of Steel. And I think that all around, I give this movie a 9.5 out of 10 versus the 8.5 that I gave before. I give it a whole point more. What do y'all give it as far as number rating?
I don't know if I'm ready to rate it yet. I need to watch it like one or two more times.
And that's the thing, you want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I would definitely give it at least another full point. So maybe like an 8.5.
Yeah. What about you?
Coming from me, guys, all jokes aside, definitely check out this movie. I think you guys would thoroughly like it, whether you had beef with the first one or not. I would rank this one. I had to go at 9.5. I really enjoyed it. So much more than I did the first one. And I enjoyed the first one too. But,
and this thing, like, it's like, when I think about the first one now, I'm like, that's not what I should have gotten.
Exactly.
And it makes me feel like the first one was not as good as it should have been.
I'm not going to watch it again.
And it's not.
Yeah.
It's just not.
And I liked it.
Right. We liked the film. But looking at the definitive version or the ultimate version, it's the film that we should have gotten.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, long live the Ultimate Edition.
The only edition.
It is the King of the North.
King of the North.
But hopefully we'll be back to do more of a live discussion with more people and get more interaction. And yeah, go check out that Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.